there. I'm Mayor Kendallin Harris, here today with our Bountiful City Power Department Director, Alan Johnson. And we're unique in Bountiful. We have our own power department. And so maybe you can tell us why and how that benefits us.
Mayor, appreciate the opportunity today. One of the things that we should be proud about having our own power department is the local control. As the citizens, we own our power department. But by doing that, it allows us to respond to what customers or what our needs for our customer. We have local people that work here, linemen who are on call, live within 20 minutes of the city, can respond to issues in a quick hurry. It also, if you have a problem, you can come into our office and talk to us. You can call us and get a hold of us. We're right here as local people. On top of it, we get to help out as we move into this period of time of the 24th, the handcart days. We'll be supplying power for the park, for the events. You put banners up, the coats for kids that we have just gotten through, the Christmas lights. But as the department, we maintain the city-owned traffic controllers. So there's a lot of odd things that we just help with that just come naturally by being here. So having our own power department, local control, local access, as well as a quicker response to get people here to deal with it.
That's great. So tell us what the mission is of the Bountiful Power Department.
Well, our mission is to supply the reasonably priced power and have a very reliable and safe system. We have spent a lot of money working on building the system to be more reliable. We have what we call loops that we put into the system. So if there's an issue, a lot of times we can isolate the bad area and get people back in power. Rebuilding poles become more stringent, hold up under the windstorm. Rebuilding our underground power systems with new cable. It's all becoming to keep our reliability up, because even though we could be the cheapest, if we have power all the time that's out, it doesn't really solve it. So we want to keep the most reliably priced, but have a very reliable system for the citizens.
That's great. That's an important mission. Tell us where we get our power resources in Bountiful City.
Well, Bountiful, we are a member of UAMS, which is a joint action agency, which we combine with other cities within the state to combine our purchase power per se. But through that, we have a diverse portfolio. A good portion of our power, nearly 40% of it, comes from the Colorado River project, or Lake Powell, Glen Canyon. That's where most of our power comes, which is hydropower that comes out through Glen Canyon. We also operate 2 hydro plants, one on Echo, one on Pineview, that are city-owned, operated, and maintained. And of that, we get nearly 7% of our power from there. We have an ownership or share of the IPP power plant in Delta, which is coal at this point, which will be changing to natural gas, where we can bring power in. We also have got 2 utility-grade solar projects, which generates roughly 10% of our needs of the city, which is just like you'd have on your roof. That supplies that. We also go out and have long-term purchase contracts to keep our rates stable into the future with guaranteed rates. We also have a power plant that generates about 9% of our need, but it comes at a point when we really need it and we can turn it on and off and tailor it to the needs of the city. So we want to have a diverse portfolio that will actually supply power. So if the sun doesn't shine, we still have power. If we have a drought, we still have ability. So we have the reliability to have power to our citizens.
Excellent. Yes. Thank you. Tell us about what the different teams do, the different people that work for the city.
We have 37 full-time employees in the power department. Of that, we have a group in the power plant that is there 24 hours a day answering phones, holidays, weekends, middle of the night. They're there to answer the phone. They also watch the system, monitor for outages, monitor for operations, watch the price of power, operate and start and stop our equipment. Of that, they've got mechanics to maintain the equipment, both there and the hydros. We also have 4 3-man line crews, and they're the ones we see out on the streets that are most visible, climbing poles, pulling wire, doing what they need to do to repair the system. We've got a single 3-man tree crew and 2 contract tree crews that trim trees all year long. But behind that, we've got a purchasing agent, we have a receptionist, we have accounting that we have to deal with, all that to support what's going on through that. And I'll just point out that as purchasing is important because you're now looking at transformers of nearly 2 years delivery time. So we're having to look into the future for our needs 2 years out to keep an inventory, because if something fails, we can't wait 2 years without power. So we have to keep an inventory. So purchasing and watching what we're doing becomes a big issue to keeping your reliability up. So the group does a lot of diverse things. You know, like I say, our linemen's what everybody sees, but there's a real support staff behind it that keeps it going.
That's great. You tell me what you're most proud of from your power department.
You know, probably the thing that makes me the most proud is we've crossed over 6 years without a lost time accident, which is pretty amazing considering the fact that our guys are doing the kind of work they're doing, both during the day and at night and in outages. And a part of that 6 years, if you look back, we had that FEMA wind event where we had brought in well over 100 other employees to work that week to put the power back together. And no accidents through that period of time. So, you know, our really goal is to have safe for our employees and safe for our citizens. To go 6 years without anybody being hurt or having an issue is really phenomenal.
That's great.
But the other thing is our reliability. We have worked so hard the last number of years to bring our reliability up that we don't have to necessarily work every storm that comes along. We get a lot of snowstorms and windstorms. We can stay home, and that keeps people in power, which is less disruption to them. So.
That's great. What would you say residents should be aware of as Bountiful Power users?
Well, I have to just point out that the citizens are the owners of the power department. I mean, they're the ones who dictate it. People look at it and say, well, it doesn't matter, but it does. If people use their appliances on the more expensive point, it raises the cost for all of us. And then one person doesn't make a difference, but when we all do it, the cost that compounds. So whatever we do to minimize usage during that period of 2 p.m. or 10 p.m., it makes it less expensive for all of us. It lowers our costs because basically all we're doing is taking what our cost of power and to maintain the system, and then we spread that over to what the kilowatt hour charges. So what everybody does to reduce the cost of the department, the whole city gets to reap for that. Because
I remember you saying that people come home at the end of the day after working all day long, and then they turn on their dishwashers and their washing machines and the AC, and so if people can turn on their washing machine in the morning, then that's going to save money.
That's right. I mean, obviously people have to live, but anything that you can do to avoid the high usage of clothes dryers, limit your air conditioning, which that's when you're going to need it, but turn the thermostat up a little bit. Don't charge your electric cars, or anything that you can do after 10 o'clock or in the morning before 2 o'clock. It saves money for everybody in the cities. In the summertime, our peak usage again is between 6 and 7 at night. And that's also when power is the most expensive. But the other thing we get is we have a lot of solar power, both on rooftops and our utility grade solar. As that sun starts coming down, solar turns off, but people are still up fixing dinner, watching TV, doing whatever they're doing in their homes and the lights. So in the summertime, peaks at 6, but it carries until 10 o'clock when everybody goes to bed. In the winter time, as we know, it gets dark sooner and the lights all come on and solar has turned off. So that period of time is the most expensive time for the utility, both in the winter and in the summer.
Interesting. What are things residents should be aware of with the safety?
Well, one of the things you've got to be careful with as you're looking around is wires that are down. And most of them are communication lines. But if you give us a call, we can check on it, because the power line being down is obviously a very dangerous situation. Open boxes, underground boxes somebody may have backed into or something, if they're open up, call us so again, they may be communication, but we don't want to have power. That's a bad thing to have it exposed. So power, we need it, but it can be very dangerous if it's not controlled and in the right environment.
Okay, yeah. You mentioned that if you have an electric vehicle, charging it overnight or in the early morning would save everybody more money. And then what tips do you have for rooftop solar, for people considering rooftop solar?
Well, people who have electric cars, the worst thing we can do is come home from work at 4 or 5 o'clock and immediately plug it in over our peak time. If you can put a timer or start charging it after 10 o'clock and charge it through the night or even through the morning up until 2 o'clock, it's much cheaper. Even though you don't see it on your bill, it's cheaper overall and it limits our cost. Rooftop, we just say, a lot of people want it. We've got a good percentage, like say 10% of the city's solar. So if you don't want to do it, you're still getting solar just within your bill. But if you do want to have it, be careful of the company. Unfortunately, we have got several systems in the city that I've never been able to turn them on because the company went bankrupt or went out of business before they turned them on. Others have been where they have gone out of business and they've got problems and they can't get their warranty taken care of. And I don't know which one to tell you, but you just want to be careful you have a reputable company. The other thing is make sure your roof really will work, because we've got a lot of systems that are working very, very well and it works good for our customers. But we have others that are blocked by trees or a chimney that shades it, and those types of shades will get onto cells and it turns them off. And they get very little output out of it, even though it's there and they're putting expense out. So make sure you do your homework before you do that. Again, we're always willing to talk to somebody. We can't really tell you what kind of system, but we'll talk about what experience of others have had if you call down and talk to our office.
That's great. Thank you. Your team is fantastic, and we just take for granted that we can flip on the light switch and the power will be there. And so thank you so much for all that you and your whole crew does to give us power, and we really appreciate it.
And we support the support that we get from both the Power Commission and the City Council that has allowed us to have the equipment and the training to do what we need to do to have a reliable system. It's been a good working relationship. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.